So it's no secret that one of the most destructive things in our culture today is pornography. And I thought what would be great for people listening today would maybe be to speak to how pornography is ravishing and destroying not only the culture, but Christian homes as well.
Yeah, it's a great question and a huge topic. Porn is immensely destructive. Maybe what we're dealing with in today's culture more than any time in the past is the saturation of it at such an early age. Yeah. I mean, kind of we all may tell the stories as older men, like 40 and up, of how these things were introduced in our era when we were young. And it wasn't like today, where just screens are erupting with it, and kids have phones and tablets, and they're 7 years old. The stats keep moving more and more left on the timeline of age when pornography is being introduced or children are being exposed to it. It breaks your heart. And the lie is this: it's natural. Like, hey, I'm just expressing myself. It's neutral. It doesn't hurt anyone. I'm not doing these things. I'm not actually committing adultery. I'm not engaging in immorality. Entitlement. I deserve to have my pleasure. This is what they're making it for. I'm allowed. There's no big deal. It doesn't harm. All of those things are lies, as if porn is neutral, and the devil loves it. He and his demonic minions are applauding as a whole generation, Christians included, treat porn as like, well, it's not great in some ways, but maybe it can even be useful for spicing up your sex life. There's all these terrible lies. That is a demonic strategy by the enemy to make us all kind of lulled to sleep on this topic while he destroys. Let me give you some of the ways that porn destroys. First of all, it devalues the image of God. Why do I say that? Because women are used in pornography as objects, not as image bearers, not as sisters, not as God's daughters, not any type of thing. And I know that for those that aren't saved, I'm not calling them God's daughters like they're his children yet in that sense. They need to be saved, but come on, they're made in the image of God. Yeah. We are to see them that way and treat them that way. Well, pornography devalues the image of God. They are treated as tools. Yeah. That's not God's design. Another thing that it does, it pollutes the soul. Yeah. There is a spiritual denigration that can occur from the use of pornography. This stuff isn't neutral for us spiritually. You can't tell me that I can engage in some act of using pornography and then like enter into worship on Sunday like nothing happened.
So true.
There is a erosion of the soul. Another thing, it poisons the mind. You get that stuff in your mind. That imagery sticks, just like we have memories and we have thoughts. And I can think back to good thoughts, my family and my children, and think of sports. And we all have these thoughts. When you get those images in your mind, they don't just go away. The enemy will use them time and time and time again to pollute and poison your mind. Why do you think the Bible talks so much about setting your mind on the things that are above? Renewing your mind, saturating your life, your mind, your will center, or your thoughts with what? The Word of God. Another thing that it does is it completely desecrates God's design for marital sex. Yeah. When you engage in pornography use and you begin to see women, or if there's women using pornography, men as objects, imagine treating your spouse that way. We have young men that are entering marriage today who have been addicted to pornography, and now they treat their wife like she is, and excuse me for even using the phrase, but I need to so that people are aware of what's happening. Yeah. They treat their wife, God's daughter, that precious, sweet girl that they've married, like she is a porn star who exists to live out their fantasies that were trained by what? God's beautiful design for sex? A proper view of enjoyment with your wife? No. By some demonic picture or presentation of sexuality that the devil is behind. And then he tries to stamp that on God's daughter in the name of, I'm the head of this home. Your body belongs to me, 1 Corinthians 7. Yeah. Please me or else I'm going to go get it somewhere else. Yeah. That is an absolute denigration. It's destruction of marital sex. One more. It destroys children. I am talking, yes, number one, about child pornography, without question. Yeah. They are used and abused in this industry. But two, when pornography is being used in a home frequently by fathers, even mothers, whatever the case, do you know the odds of your child being exposed to that because you left a device out, because you did not protect them, because you were looking at something and they saw it? Children often introduced to pornography either from friends who are using devices and then they see it.
Yeah.
But that young man or young woman was introduced to that by its use at home. It destroys children. Now, let me go further with that, though, and put some sort of spiritual tie in. It destroys children because if dad is using pornography and he's addicted to it, and there's this regular presence of porn in mom or dad's life, you're telling me that that parent is making disciples of their children faithfully? You're telling me that they're spiritually healthy and their spiritual life, like a well, is overflowing into their child's life? No.
Wow.
It's going to destroy the children and the culture of that home because mom and dad aren't healthy. Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say. We need to go to war against pornography. Yeah. We need to understand that it is prevalent in our society and in the church today. That's not an excuse, but we need to make it normal to confess that we're struggling with pornography. It can't be taboo, like we don't talk about this. We've got to have a revolution, a war against it, and make it okay, like any other sin, to confess that sin so we can get it into the light and deal with it. And then third, we need to talk openly about the strategies we can employ. I'm not saying be legalistic. Now, you can't have a TV in your house and you can't have a cell phone, but we got to be open to what Christ said.
Cut it out. Yeah.
Cut it off. Gouge it out. Get rid of it. If you got to go without, so be it, because you are protecting your soul.
Yeah.